Chapter 15, the chapter about happiness. Living happily without pollutants. The Sakyans and the Kolyans were kindred tribes who nearly fell into war over short water supplies. The Buddha, in order to prevent bloodshed, went to them and gave this teaching, following which they relented. 197. Let us live on without hatred, amongst those who do have hatred. Amongst humans who have hatred, let us now live without hatred. 198. Let us live on without sickness, amongst those who do have sickness. Amongst humans who have sickness, let us now live without sickness. 199. Let us live on without longing, amongst those who do have longing. Amongst humans who have longing, let us now live without longing. Living like the gods. One festival day, the Buddha went to the village for alms. But due to Mara taking possession of the people in the village, he received nothing. Mara then taunted the Buddha, who rebuked him with this verse. 200. We can live happily enough, having no possessions ourselves. We will feed on joy like the gods of streaming light. The truly happy one. The king of Kosala is defeated 3 times by his nephew Ajatasattu, the king of Magadha, and took to his bed in sorrow and despair. When the Buddha heard about it, he gave this teaching. 201. The victor generates hatred. The defeated one finds suffering. The one at peace lives happily without victory and defeat. The happiness of peace. The Buddha and the monastics were invited to a wedding, and the bride served them with all due attention. The groom, however, was overcome with lust and could pay no attention to his duties. The Buddha spoke this verse to him. 202. There is no bonfire like passion. There is no offense like hatred. There is no suffering like the components of mind and body. No happiness other than peace. The greatest good. The Buddha saw that a poor man was ready to attain stream entry and went with the monastics to give him teachings. The man, however, spent the whole morning seeking his lost ox. The Buddha ordered that the tired man be fed first, and only later did he teach him. Afterwards he spoke this verse to the monastics. 203. Hunger is the supreme sickness, conditions the supreme suffering. Knowing this as it really is, know Nibbana's the supreme good. The greatest things. King Pasenadi was always overeating and suffering for it, so the Buddha had the king's nephew learn and recite a verse which reminded the king to be moderate. Later, the king told the Buddha he was cured, and the Buddha recited the following verse. 204. Health is the supreme gain, content the supreme wealth. Faith is the supreme kin, Nibbana supreme good. The taste of solitude. When Venerable Tissa heard the Buddha declare his intention to finally pass away in 4 months' time, rather than attend to the Buddha, he went to the forest to practice the teachings. The Buddha lauded him and said, "This is how one truly honors him," and spoke this verse. 205. Savoring the taste of solitude and savoring the taste of peace, he is fearless, faultless, savoring the joyful taste of the Dhamma. Seeing the noble ones. When the Buddha lay ill, Sakka, the Lord of the Gods, came to minister him. The monks wondered why, and the Buddha explained how he had previously answered Sakka's questions, who thereby became a stream enterer. The Buddha summarized Sakka's affection with these verses. 206. Meeting the Noble One is good, and living together is pleasant. Through not meeting foolish people, one will constantly be happy. 207. For he who consorts with fools grieves for a long time. Dwelling with fools is always suffering as it is with enemies. The wise one dwells happily as with his kin. 208. Therefore, the firm, the wise, and the learned, the virtuous, dutiful, and noble, accompany such a true person as the moon accompanies the stars.